In the last video, we walked through all of the different files that we have available for us in our application. So back here in the driver class, this is all up on GitHub. I did miss one part, and that was our connection object. That actually should be the only place that we hold our connection information inside of it. So there's my username and password. And if I go to purchase, you'll see that we actually, not purchase, purchase DAO up here. We actually make that connection at that point. So we use our connection object since it's static, the connection object class. There's the connection object class. We use get connection, and get connection is right here. This makes sure that we don't have multiple connections that go along with it. So get instance of it. So we have some, I think I probably should be calling get instance in that case. But anyway, so back to what we're doing here. We want to continue working on our code. So we have our practice where they log in, comes back to driver. If they have the correct user ID, we send them to application. Application displays them a menu that goes along with that piece of it. And then we give them the option to add purchases, show all purchases. The one we're working on is to show a specific purchase that goes into it. So we already displayed everything. Let's go ahead and run this and see what we have. So if I go ahead and type in and password, you can see that we have it's showing up. There's the and password. Congratulations, you are logged in. And if I do a select, or view all. So there's the objects that we have details about, and there's the ID. So we want them to pick one of these ID, 33, 34, or 34, 35, 36. So that's where we left off. Which item do you wish to view? So right here, which item do you like to view? We've already have them typing in the ID here. So let's go ahead and get the object coming back. So for our purchase DAO, we have a couple different options. We have create, that doesn't make sense. We have read all, we know that's already there. We had read by staff ID, where we could pass in a staff ID. We're not using that. But here's read by purchase ID. So this is the method we're going to be calling, and we want to send them the ID of which one we're going to look at. So, and inside here, we're going to get an individual record. So select, there's all the different fields where the ID is a parameter, and we're joining on the staff ID and user ID, so we don't get a Cartesian result, which has all kinds of some stuff. But really, this is the only staff ID we're actually going to pull stuff across. So this is just going to join those two tables correctly in that case. So we're actually going to pull back the first name for this one too. So that's why we're doing the join, because we want the first name of the staff person. So here we're preparing it. So we wrote our SQL. We've got one parameter. We prepare it. We give them the parameter of the ID of the record in our purchase table that's coming from the user. We're going to select our query. We're going to go in there, and we are going to then, notice we created an empty purchase object. We are going to set the name, set the price, set the date, set create date, set user ID, and set staff name. So we are setting everything into this purchase object, and when we're done, we're going to return the purchase object. So here's the method signature. It says we're going to return a purchase. We create a purchase. We populate the purchase, and then we return the purchase. So a purchase is coming back. That's the bottom line here. So we know we're going to have a purchase coming back, and it's going to come back when I call pd dot, and here's all the different things, read by purchase ID. And then the ID got typed in. So that should be what we want there. Now we're ready to display that particular thing. So here is view of purchase. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of typing down here. Purchase details. Purchase details. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and move that to the front there. And now I have the purchase. So we can do sys out, and we can do our name, and that's going to be a plus, and we're using our object again, so we're going to get the name of our, purchase is our object name, not P. So purchase, let's go ahead and type that again. Purchase dot, there's get name, and we're going to repeat that a couple different times here. So name, price, let's stick with our capital letter, capitalization part here. So it's not get name now, It's now .get price, and it's not going to be name here. It's going to be, let's see, create or purchase date. Let's do purchase date. We can call this whatever we want because it's our purchase date, not alert. So purchase date, and we are clean up that one there. We're not going to do that. So .get create date. There we go. Missing a one there. The next one is going to be staff name, and that's not going to be get name. That's going to be .get staff name. Okay, and I guess we probably want to put the ID in here. So the ID of the purchase to make sure we're checking the right one. So we're going to change this to get ID. Okay, we don't need that last one, but I'm going to put an empty line down here. So we're just going to go ahead and put in an empty line down at the bottom down there. Okay, so that's going to get the purchase IDs. First, we're going to view them. We're going to allow them to pick a number, and then we're going to display the purchase ID. And this purchase ID is more than just the stuff that's in the purchase table. We joined it and pulled the staff name. So let's go ahead. Actually, let's go back just for a second to purchase DAO. So when I look at the constructor for the purchase here, notice it creates an empty object of purchase, and then I can use all of my getters and setters to set that up. I also could have pulled everything out of here and then did a new purchase down here and pass in the parameters, but since we don't know necessarily which items we're going to pull in there, we just create an empty one and we populate as it goes. So if I go ahead and run this now, let's go ahead and see what happens. Move this up a little bit, and password. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so there's all the purchases. These are not specific to AND. These are all purchases within the system here. So if we want to see the details of Greece, so notice it does not have the staff person in there right now. So if I do 35 and put it across, there's Greece, price $9.99. There's the date we purchased it. The staff name who purchased it was there. Looks like we're missing their staff. The ID number did not come across correctly. So it should have said 35. So let's see what we have wrong with our piece here. So read by purchase ID. We have the ID is over here. And let's see, do we not put the ID? We do not put the ID into our object. So that's why we don't have that particular piece there. So we're going to have to set one more parameter here. We're going to use that P object. We're going to set ID. And we're going to do our record set that came back. And we're going to put the ID in there. So we had to add one more item to it. That's going to be a get int, and the column name that matches it is ID. So now we have it created. We had just missed that one line there. So when we ran it, our information there was incorrect. Let's go ahead and run this again here. That was Greece. So we'll check Greece. So let's go 3. Greece was 35. We'll do 35. Okay, so there's the information for Greece. Greece is the name, $9.99, purchase date that comes into it, and was the staff member, and 35. So we now have a path. And the important part to learn here is that we are putting everything that comes in and out of our table into a purchase object, and we are using that purchase object, which gets managed in our purchase DAO. So here's where we connect our SQL stuff and put it into our purchase object. Up here, we took our SQL and we put it into an array list of purchases. And in our insert, which we have not talked about, we had information where they typed it in and we sent them a purchase object, and that purchase object was then used to put the information into the table. So the purchase object becomes the intermediary between the Java application and the SQL part of it. So the next one, we're going to continue this off with the update and see how that goes.